Welcome to the Resistance broadcast, everybody. Today is Make Solo 2 Happen Day. And if you aren't sure what that is yet, you picked the right day, because today's the day. We are using the hashtag Make Solo 2 Happen. So after you listen to the show, or if you want to hit pause and do it now, or do it 50 times later, or if you have done it already, great. Go to your social media accounts. That's Twitter, that's Facebook, that's Instagram, anywhere you want to go. Put the hashtag Make Solo 2 Happen. We are trying to get the movement going to get a follow-up for Solo, a Star Wars story made, whether that is a feature film or a series on the Disney Plus streaming service, probably more likely at this point. But either way, we have more story to be told with Han, Chewie, Maul, Kira, Enfys Nest, and a lot of people who had open-ended stories from Solo, a Star Wars story. The movie that was an underdog that didn't get what it deserved, in our opinion. And we know as more people watched it, more people liked it, and it has snowballed into a bit of a fan favorite. And we're here to get that motion going now. I'm John Hoey. Thank you guys so much for joining us today. We're going to do a lot of Make Solo 2 Happen talk in this episode today. Our main discussion is going to be about why we think the movie should be made or series should be made, and a lot of other fun stuff. So thanks for joining us. And again, take to your Twitter accounts, to your Facebook and Instagrams, get that hashtag rolling and tweet it as many times as possible. And guess what, guys? I don't care if you tag John Kasdan. I don't care if you tag Yoda Sotomo. If you tag Rob Brito, the producer, you can tag Lord Miller. I don't care who you tag. Let's just get
George
this
Lucas.
thing going. Yeah, does George Lucas have a Twitter? Ron Howard does. So fire
Tag
it off.
Star Wars.
Tag everybody. And who you hear right now, as always, the Make Solo 2 Happen crew. We are all here. It's James and Lacey. Guys, happy Make Solo 2 Happen Day. Are you excited? The day has finally arrived. We're here to push that hashtag. What's going on?
I've been working on my hand signals, like make Solo 2 happen. Like trying to do it. You can walk down the street and go, hashtag make Solo 2 happen.
Yes.
People will know it'll be like a gang thing.
Okay. So if the hashtag doesn't work out, we can get into street signs.
Yes, that's what I'm
Okay.
talking about.
Cool.
We'll
Cool.
replace all stop signs with make Solo 2 happen. Everybody, what is that? No,
Lacey,
we are not Fight Club.
Have you used the hashtag yet?
Probably at this point, yeah. Absolutely. I'm excited. I loved Solo. I watch it all the time. I just watched it like the other day. So I love it.
The thing about Solo is like every time I watch it, I just feel good and I have fun. And
I smile, yeah.
Yeah, it's just a good time. And I feel like Alden did such a fantastic job. And the fact that, and we'll get into this more in our discussion later, but the fact that he filled Harrison Ford's shoes and was overall embraced by fans is incredible. It really is. So we'll get into more of that later. But if you guys have your Make Solo 2 Happen merch, whether it's a sticker or a t-shirt or a mug, or even if you just grab the logo from our Twitter account and want to fire that off with your hashtag, do it. Send us pictures of you with your gear, with your friends, with your Han Solo and Chewie
Should we
toys.
pause so people could take a screenshot?
We are going to
Take a screenshot of that.
Yeah, we're going to retweet every single tweet that has Make Solo 2 Happen in it. So we're going to blow up your spots and give you shout outs there. So just fire those off. Even as you're watching the episode or listening to the episode, keep tweeting. Keep that tweeting going. Make Solo 2 Happen. Let's get a counter going. Ding, 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 ding. Make
Tweet
Solo
out your
2
favorite
happen. Let's do it.
moment from the
Yeah.
movie with a
Yeah.
make Solo 2 happen hashtag.
Yeah. So I'm excited. It's going to be a huge day for us, and if we get a chance to see that, the makers of Solo see it, some of them have already tweeted about it. We saw John Kasdan quote tweet us at Celebration. Yoda Sotomo used the hashtag on his Instagram post about getting a sequel going. Rob Brito talked about it, saying you never know. The creators, we can see it. And even Brian Herring, the guy who is a puppeteer, he did work on Solo, and he's known
He
for
did those
BB-8.
dogs. Those like white dogs at the beginning.
He did the work for the dogs in Solo. He saw James's sweatshirt on the show floor at Celebration and took a picture of it. And he's like, by the way, I'm Brian Herring. We're
Stopped
like, whoa!
us. Came and stopped us.
He
Yeah.
stopped us. Yeah. And we're like, holy cow, Brian Herring. Didn't even put two and two together. So people know about it, but let's make today the big day. So thank you guys so much for taking part in hashtag Make Solo 2 Happen Day. But It's time to get the show rolling, guys. And how we do that is a guy who wasn't in Solo, but we love him here. His name is Chirrut Imwe, and he's going to send us to James Baney in our segment called Will of the Force.
I fear nothing, for all is as the Force wills it.
I thought that I was the person who wasn't in Solo, but
That's what I thought. I was like,
that's where I thought you were going with that. So a guy who wasn't in Solo, but he's on our show, and that's just as great. It's Chirrut Imwe.
James,
I'm like,
maybe we
"Aw."
can get you in the sequel. How about that?
Yeah, I will gladly make an appearance and make Solo. Oh wait, and make Solo 2 happen.
Imagine they call the sequel to
Solo
Solo
2.
Make Solo 2.
Oh my
like,
gosh. Hey, we're in Will of the Force though, and we got a couple of questions that we want to ask before we get into our whole big Solo 2 discussion, as well as our Patreon pod race, as well as our resistance transmissions, all that stuff at the end. So let's get on with some of these questions. We got a first one coming up here, written by John Hoey. It is: will Yoda ever appear in a Star Wars movie again after, of course, The Rise of Skywalker? Which we don't know if he's going to show up in this movie or not, but there's a fair chance. Everything after that, a lot lower on the totem pole, in my opinion. I'm going to start with you, Lacey. What do you think? Yoda showing up in a movie past Rise of Skywalker?
it really depends on the time period that they're making the movies, but I would say no, he's not going to appear in a movie after The Rise of Skywalker. I think his story is kind of finished with these movies.
I mildly kind of agreed with you on that until the very end. There's
Okay.
no way Yoda's story is over.
Well, I meant like in the main saga.
Well, yeah, but he could show up in other sagas. That's the question.
All right.
John, what do you think?
I'm gonna say no. Because I don't know. I think it really depends on Frank Oz for me. I don't want to see anyone else playing Yoda in a Star Wars movie. I know other people have an animated, and I haven't liked it, to be honest with you. I feel like Frank Oz is the only one who could pull off Yoda. So, you know, Frank Oz is 75 now. I don't know how much longer he'd like to do that kind of stuff. So I think if Yoda does appear in 9, which I think he will, they'll do a nice final nod to him in some way. Even if they left it off in The Last Jedi, I thought that scene was incredible. So I think Frank Oz, Yoda should end with Frank Oz, kind of like how Leia is probably going to end with Carrie Fisher. So if Frank Oz wants to keep playing it, fine. But I don't know that he wants to. So I'm going to just take a guess here and say Yoda will not appear after Episode 9 in a movie.
Yeah, that's a good point. I did. Frank Oz didn't do. He did the voice though during like Attack of the Clones when he was fully CG. He just wasn't puppeteering.
Yeah, he puppeteered him in Episode 1, and then they replaced that with the CG.
Yeah,
and then he did.
but
the
he still
voice.
did the voice the whole time
Yeah.
and stuff. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's a really good point that they could be like, hey, as far as like a movie screen version, we kind of consider that something else among our group of friends, which Frank is in. So we're going to go ahead and wrap him. But I think just as a character, he could show up in other movies. Man, that's a good point, though. I'm still going to stick with I think he could show up in other movies, though. I think that he's kind of one of those characters that they have such a long lifespan with that if they wanted to pull him in like they did in Rebels, like, you know, just kind of an irrelevant relation, but because it's all about the Force, you could meet this character and we know his connection to a larger story, but now he's even reaching out to these other characters just because he's so in touch with the Force. So I think that it's possible. I think that it's possible that he could show up in another movie, and that would be really cool and kind of a cameo, if you will, in an era that shouldn't have anything to do with that timeline or whatever. All right, we're going to go on to the next one. This one's actually coming in from a patron of ours. This one is from Admiral Tampa Movie Guy. Yes, he goes by Tampa Movie Guy. This one is about Lucasfilm. Will Lucasfilm hold back on any additional news on the Benioff and Weiss and Rian Johnson films until after The Rise of Skywalker is released? No news until probably 2020 on any of this stuff. John, what do you think on this one?
I think yes, especially for Rian Johnson. I think we've talked about this on the podcast a bit. I think no matter what you feel about Rian Johnson, I love The Last Jedi. There is a level of negativity surrounding him a bit, so I think they want to keep the positive vibes going for episode 9. So anything about his stuff, they're definitely going to wait till after episode 9 comes out. I think this year is really going to be a heavy focus on The Mandalorian and episode 9. We know Benioff and Wise's first movie is coming out in 2022. I don't know that we're going to get much more details than that. I think this is going to be, we need to market 9. This is our big one. This is our big cash cow. This is our focus. So I think he's right here. I think they will hold back on information about Benioff and Wise and Rian Johnson until after The Rise of Skywalker hits theaters.
All right, Lacey, do you agree with John, or do you got a hot take on this?
No, I agree with him. I think they're going to focus on The Mandalorian and the streaming service and Jedi Fallen Order and The Rise of Skywalker. I think they have enough on their marketing plate that they don't need to market these things yet. And I think they'll wait until Celebration next year to even mention them until The Rise of Skywalker stuff is over.
Yeah, I agree with both of you. Definitely, it doesn't say. I'll even go on record and say I'm surprised they've said as much as they have. You know, Bob saying the next movies are in fact them. Like, I don't know why that had to be said.
Especially given the climate online about Game of Thrones, they were like, "Yeah, Bob, go ahead, go for it."
You know, I almost wonder if that was like, "Hey, when are we going to tell them?" And they're like, "Tell them like right as Game of Thrones is wrapping up." And they're like, "Cool." And then like they just didn't expect a negative reaction, but the timeline still stood.
Let's not forget that I could go to my friends right now who aren't on Twitter and be like, did you guys hear that Benioff and Wise, the guys who did Game of Thrones, are doing the first Star Wars movie after episode 9? They're going to be like, what? That's awesome.
Yeah, but all my friends that don't like Star Wars but like Game of Thrones are pissed.
Are they?
Yes.
But they don't like Star Wars, so who cares?
But they're like, oh, well, who would give them anything else to do? That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Tell them to go eat an Eskimo pie then.
I'm not saying they're right, John. I'm just saying like, you can't make a generalization.
She's saying that outside of that fandom,
outside of Star Wars, people
I'm not
know
making
about
a generalization. I'm saying it's so heavy on like social media. Like, look at our Star Wars news poll. Only 16% of people actually said they were upset about it.
Sure.
But it seems like it's 85% because people are so vocal. Sure. That's all I'm saying. That's all.
Let's move on to the next one. So we got a question here. Will the Rise of Skywalkers have... I don't think you wrote this right, John.
Just the title of the movie, sorry.
Yeah. Will the Rise of Skywalker have the highest IMDb score of the Disney era Star Wars films? So looking at the current poll, Force Awakens has an 8, Rogue One has a 7.8, Last Jedi has a 7.2, and Solo has a 7.0. So we're looking for 8 or up, 8.1 or higher for The Rise of Skywalker. This one goes to Lacey first, I think. What do you think?
I think that it will have the highest score. I would guarantee you it's probably going to have a 9.
Whoa!
I think it's going to have a 9 something, yeah. I think people are pumped for JJ to be back. I think it's the culmination of all these movies together. I think it's going to be awesome, and I think it's going to have a 9 something.
Holy cow.
Because he's not rehashing, which is the big critique he got for TFA.
So that'd be higher than A New Hope and Empire.
Yeah.
All right. I mean, I hope that's true. That's awesome.
So this is on IMDb, which is fan submitted, which makes me think that it doesn't matter how good this movie is. There's no way it's going to beat some of these scores, because I think it's just going to get like crushed.
I think you're going to see fan scores go away.
Could be.
I think you're going to have a critic score and a fan score.
That it wouldn't have scores at all.
Well, I'm saying a critic score and a fan score. So I think critic scores do get calculated into IMDb.
Oh, yeah, they might.
I'm talking pure critic score. But I think also fans are going to like it. I think they're bringing in a lot of elements from previous films. I mean, Palpatine's one of them. That you're going to have a higher score than an 8.0.
Yeah, I probably should have done a little bit of research on how IMDb is scored. I probably would be better versed on Rotten Tomatoes score, but
right.
But for IMDb, as I understand it, it's fan submitted and it's not really something to be trusted. But I
still stand by my answer.
But it's fine. 7.2, honestly, and Solo being at 7, if my theory's correct, I feel like those should be a lot lower. So maybe there is a good balance there that's happening. So, but I still say I don't think it'll be. I don't think it'll go above an 8. John, what do you think?
I don't think so. I think I could see it like nestling in a 7.8, 7.9, maybe even an 8. I would love for it to go higher than an 8. I think Return of the Jedi has an 8 around there, so that's the third one in that trilogy. I think Revenge of the Sith had the highest of the prequels with like a 7.8 or something like that too. So I'd say around 8. That's why I think that number is interesting. Now the question is, will it beat TFA in that score? And it's possible. I'm going to be an optimist here and say, I agree with Lacey. I'm going to say yes, but I don't think it's going to go way up. I think maybe 8.1, 8.2.
81, 82%. How about 83 for that Return of the Jedi reference?
The year?
Right.
Yeah, why not?
8.3.
Yeah.
All right. Moving on to the next one. We're going to answer another one from our Patreon page. This one coming in from patron Commander Evan Harris. Sending in this one.
Hey, Evan.
Evan right now is like, oh, shoot, they just said my name. This is awesome. All right, so this question is, will we eventually get a Disney Plus series that is interwoven with the film? So, for example, a possible Old Republic era series set in the same time as the upcoming trilogy. Trying to understand that question. John, do you follow that?
Yeah, so I think what Evan's suggesting is, say you have a new era of films that take place whenever, say it's Old Republic, say it's the future, will there be series almost used as fillers that tie in with that? So in between part 1 and part 2 of the trilogy
is Old Republic
here's a
era,
series.
and the upcoming trilogy is the Old Republic era.
It's
as
like
well,
Resistance
from
with
Benioff
the sequel
Gotcha.
trilogy.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So what do you think, John?
I think absolutely. I think that makes a lot of sense, especially if the films are successful and praised by fans and that sort of thing, and it will enrich the storytelling in a way. I think it's a way to also do it where you can do things that affect future movies, because you expect a lot of people to watch these types of things as opposed to maybe a comic. No offense to comic readers or anything like that. But you can take a character who, say, at the end of the first movie, he or she goes on an adventure somewhere. You can tell that adventure in the series. Then they come back for the second movie, and you can kind of tie it in that way. So I think absolutely it makes a lot of sense, and I'm excited at even the blank prospect of it. So I'm with you, Evan. I think that's a great idea.
Lacey, is there any sort of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. stank going on here?
First of all, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is terrible. I don't know anybody that likes that show. Yeah. Ugh. I just offended someone somewhere. So anyway, I think that they will. I think it makes sense. Like John said, it's a way to explore other characters, and I would love an Enfys Nest series. That would be something that if they had that going on when Solo was going on, to understand where she was coming from and what they were like building behind the scenes. There's just so many characters and different planets and adventures that you can explore in Star Wars that I think that a series that is parallel with an actual movie series, like a TV series and a movie series that go together, would help alleviate that weight that we're all kind of dreading at this point of between the movies. So yes, I think they will.
And aren't they? I think they are doing it with Marvel already, right? Aren't they doing like a Loki series?
Yeah, so they're doing Loki, they're doing Black Widow, they're doing
Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Yep, Winter Soldier. So Captain America, which is now Falcon.
Vision and Scarlet Witch.
I said Scarlet Witch.
50s, which is weird.
If those things work, then they'll probably be like, yeah, we can make that work for Star Wars too.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, especially Loki's a prime example of, like, obviously, spoiler alert, he died in Infinity War Part 1. So everyone was flipped out.
I'm not going to lie. I was low-key sad about that.
I love Loki. He's my favorite. So yeah, I was sad. But I'm pumped he's getting his own show. Are you about to say I like villains? Is that what you're about to say? Is that what your face was?
No, I made a low-key joke.
I know, I ignored it.
Oh.
James, what do you think?
Okay.
In a weird way, I kind of hope they don't do that.
You're the guy that said you wanted movies faster.
No
On
idea, but
Monday.
I don't want them happening at the same time unless they really are connected. Like a character, like you hire Joseph Gordon-Levitt, like they were talking about that in the Patreon chat. Like you hire Joseph Gordon-Levitt and he's in the movies, but he's also in the TV show, or he makes appearances in the TV show, then maybe yes. But I don't like this idea that like, well, there's like the movie canon and then there's like the TV show canon. And I know Star Wars doesn't do that, but
They do with books, though. They have Alphabet Squadron running
I know, but
alongside
those
of one.
running alongside,
Like when the movies are about to come out. So you're learning
but
about
they don't
these-
take place in the same time.
Well, like
Alphabet Squadron takes place not during the
shortly
same
after.
time as Return of the
Yeah,
Jedi.
shortly
It's like after.
Yeah, but James, you could say that about Rebels, though. Rebels it runs alongside the timeline, but they don't intersect.
Rebels doesn't run along the timeline of anything. It's before Rogue One and it's before the movies.
But it happens in that era, is what I'm saying.
That's different, though. They're talking about a show where, like, you have the movie and then you have the TV show that's playing alongside, and then you get the second movie, and then the TV show keeps going along, kind of like the Resistance thing.
It's Resistance,
and
yeah.
Yeah, and that becomes a question. We're like, well, where's the Resistance? You know, and it's like, I don't know. It becomes a weird thing. Like Kaz and that crew should be in the movies, but they're not. They I guess Poe Dameron and stuff is showing up in the show, so that's a little bit different. But I don't know.
What about then my
We're talking live action though. Too,
my
right?
idea where Sean Bean is in the next trilogy and he goes off on a side adventure, and that side adventure is a series, and then he comes back for the second movie.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, that's, I think, what the question is asking. So that would work if they did that.
Yeah, I mean, he said interwoven. So interwoven to me means there is the connectivity.
Yeah. But I don't think, I would want it, if it was interwoven, I would want it to be connected more directly and not like, all right, I'm going on vacation, I'll see you guys later. And then like a totally separate story with that character. You know?
Yeah, fair enough.
Well, it's kind of like Agent Carter, right?
That's what I'm saying. I don't like any of that stuff.
Oh, I loved Agent Carter.
Yeah, I don't like any of that stuff. If Agent Carter's showing up, well, that's different though, because it's in a different time era.
All right.
It's in like the 50s. No, 40s. I don't know when that was.
So do you got,
Probably 40s,
what's your
right?
final verdict on this one there, James?
No, I said no. All right, let's move on to the next one. This next one is from Make Solo 2 Happen Day, and we're done with Will of the Force. No, the question really, honestly, is will Solo 2 happen? That is the Will of the Force question. Lacey, do you think there's any chance that this movie's going to get made or could get made? Can we do it? Can we do it today? Yes, we can, right?
I mean, I guess. Sure. Yes. You're throwing me off, James. Yes, it definitely will happen, and it'll be a series. I don't think it's going to be a movie anymore. I think it'll be a series for Disney Plus. That's my straightforward answer, because we're about to get into a discussion, so I don't want to get too much into it. But yeah, that's my answer.
John?
Yes. Right. I think it will be a series as well, but I'll take a movie too. But do I think Solo 2 will happen? Yes, I do. It will happen. So let's do it.
Before we move on to the big discussion, I do want to head over into our Patreon pod race real quick. We got General Andrew Staley this week to answer one of our questions. And we wanted to ask Andrew, since he's big into the pod racing stuff, if he were a pod racer himself, what kind of an attitude would he have on the track? Would he be a good guy, bad guy? Let's see what he had to say about that.
Hi, guys. Thanks for having me on to the Resistance broadcast. It's a pleasure. You asked me what kind of pod racer I would be in the Star Wars galaxy. Probably would be one with great integrity. Wouldn't be doing anything like Sebulba or anything crazy like that. All the racers that I admire in this day and age are honest, and they race everybody clean. I would hope I'd be a Jedi in the Star Wars galaxy, but I would use my talent and try to do the best I can, use my skills to compete with the best that's in the galaxy, and hope to win. And hopefully, like Anakin, you win the big race and finish first. So thanks for having me on, guys. It's been a pleasure. Love supporting the Resistance broadcast, and appreciate everything. And may the Force be with you.
Yeah, I gotta be honest. I'm kind of with you. I think that I wouldn't want to be a cheater either. I have a feeling that if I were on the field too, or the track, that I would be like, that guy's cheating and nobody seems to care and this sucks. So I'd probably, instead of cheating myself, I'd probably just be like, I don't think I'm the right person for pod racing. I'd probably give up sooner than I would just try to push harder and be the honorable winner. But yeah, I love that answer, Andrew. Lacey, what do you think?
I think that Andrew is the nicest person ever, and this was like the most wholesome pod race we've ever had. It was so great. Yeah, that's awesome that you wouldn't cheat. I can't say that I would. I feel
Lacey,
like I would.
You'd run me off the road. What are you talking?
I totally would. And if I had Jedi powers, like, watch out.
Andrew, I kind of pitched this because I knew you like racing. We talked about it at Celebration when you and I shared those giant beers. They were probably twice the size of my water mug here. So thank you again for the beer. I owe you one.
They were like twice the size of my mug.
Yeah, they were gigantic.
Oh.
And they were delicious and fantastic. So thank you again, Andrew. Gamesmanship, like how about like Dale Earnhardt sticking his foot under the car to make it meet inspection? That might be a little gray area, but I liked your answer too. I'm not a big fan of the Sebulbas and the Kyle Bushes of the world, so I'm with you. I think doing it the right way, racing the right way, I kind of dug your answer there, and I couldn't agree with Lacey more. You are the nicest dude, man. When you came up to me and James first on the show floor, and then we saw you at the panel, and thanks for coming to that and all that, and afterwards at the meetup, and for being an awesome patron. You're the man, dude. And you crushed your first pod race, so I can't wait to see your next one. Thanks, man.
That whole thing inspired me. I want an animated, like, cel-shaded pod racer game that has all eras in it. So you get like a Kylo Ren pod. And he's a racer.
Yeah.
You can get like a Rey pod and a Padme pod.
I wonder if they can make it
like
with the
doesn't
engine
fit into canon at all, but
make it with the engine of like Mario Kart.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like a show or a game like that. That's kind of like outside of the head. They are outside of the box. They all have big heads, is what I meant to say.
Yeah. I'd buy that game.
I would too. And
Let's
I'd
pitch that
own
right
John at that game.
Let's make a pod race game happen.
Yeah, that'll be our next one.
All right, John, you want to talk about this week's discussion?
Obi-Wan once thought as you do.
Okay, so this week's discussion, folks, as you may expect, is about Solo 2. Make Solo happen. Make Solo 2 happen. Hashtag Make Solo 2 happen. Guys, it's Make Solo 2 Happen Day. Solo, a Star Wars story like its lead character, was quite the underdog from being undermarketed off the heels of a controversial movie, that some would say, to the firing of its directors. But because of this, the film has taken its own level of charm. As most fans relate to the party saw Solo, most fans wound up admitting that they liked the movie. I know Lacey and James have talked to people who saw it after the fact and said, I wish I saw it in the theater. That was a pretty damn good movie. And now the story left off with Han and Chewie going to meet Jabba, Kira going to see Maul and Dathomir, Enfys Nest starting the rebellion against the Empire. The stage has been set for these stories to continue. We started this movement back in September when the movie was coming out on Blu-ray and 4K, and we said, let's get behind this thing, because this movie is the one Star Wars movie that may need a little support. So we started the movement, hashtag Make Solo 2 Happen. So we're here to talk about it. We're here to tweet about it, Facebook about it, Instagram about it with you. So let's give our reasons why we want to see a follow-up to Solo, whether that's a movie or a series on Disney Plus, which may, make the most sense. But guys, we're revisiting this because we talked about this in September, but here we are on Make Solo 2 Happen Day. What do you guys thoughts on where we can go, why we think we need to see this, and why it deserves it?
John, you mentioned in there that we talked to people that have that didn't see the movie when it was in the theater, and then later they came out and they were like, "Yeah, I actually really liked it." But this actually just happened to me like 2 days ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I asked him. We were talking about like I think like just off the cuff, I was like, "Hey, real quick, what's your favorite Disney movie of the Star Wars that has been released?" And I was surprised. The person said Solo. Wow, and I was like, really? And he's like, yeah. And he told me that same thing. He goes, I wasn't sure about it because I didn't get it there to see it. And then there was like all these like weird reviews and stuff. So I was like, oh, I'll wait on that. But after I saw it, I was like, whoa, this one's I think my favorite one. And I was like, more than Rogue One? And he's like, yeah, and I really like that one too. Like... I was like, man, that's crazy. Like,
yeah.
It's interesting to think that there are people and they're hidden gems. They're people that they're not on Twitter. They're not blowing it up.
Yep.
They're not being overly critical. They're sitting back and going like, oh man, I've seen so many of these Star Wars movies, but there's still this one I haven't seen yet. And they put it on and they're like, hey, you know what? I'm back in. I like what they're doing. Yeah. It's definitely a vibe I think that we've all encountered. Everybody listening to this podcast that's like supporting the whole like positive Star Wars mentality. I know we're all like Star Wars Solo was good. But yeah, I'm going to throw it to you guys, give a couple more reasons. I just wanted to throw that off right at the top.
Yeah, I mean, this movie, I loved it from the moment I saw it. I actually saw it with John.
Yep. AMC Theaters in Danbury, the famous.
And then I went and saw it a couple more times. And then I saw it like 18 times on planes over the course of the year. And I've watched it a bunch of times in my house. Like James said, my husband doesn't really like Star Wars that much. He watches it because I watch it. But this was the one movie he actually sat down and watched it and enjoyed it. And he ironed his clothes during The Last Jedi. He couldn't even tell you what it's about. He doesn't remember. All he remembers is Mary Poppins, Leia, and Luke being angry. That's all he remembers.
Oh, man.
And then Rogue One, he said was okay, but it was just like, he said it was like, there was a lot of background information he felt like he was missing for Rogue One, which I feel like that's why a lot of Star Wars fans like it, is because it gets into that like background info of what's going on with the Empire.
Actually, I kind of think it's because people say the Catalyst book was important to read before you went into the movie. And I think people who just saw the movie were like, I feel like there's like a whole segment that I didn't get.
Yeah.
And it's like, because you didn't read the book. And that was kind of a complaint.
Yeah, and he didn't get the call outs, like the random Easter eggs and stuff. He doesn't pick up on that stuff, guys. So when he saw Solo, and I just watched it the other day, and he's seen me watching it a bunch, he still sat down and watched it with me. And it was the part where Han is flying the Millennium Falcon through the Maelstrom, which is one of the best parts of the movie. And I can honestly say that this is one of the most rewatchable Star Wars for me. It's my go-to now, that and TFA of what to watch. John came over the other day to do photos, and I was watching it when he came in.
Yep.
But yeah, so I love it. And I really want them to do a series or a movie or something with it, because I feel like there's so much potential with Enfys Nest and where Han and Chewie are going, and even Lando and Kira and Maul. Like, it just left it in such a cliffhanger place that you were like, oh my gosh, what's going to happen next? And then they were like, I don't know. Let's see. And no, I want to see. Please tell me, please.
Yeah. And, I don't want to say these types of things foreshadow people appearing and stuff, but, Aaron Kellyman showing up at Star Wars Celebration a year after Solo comes out, to me says something.
She on the live stage said it was part of a series.
Right. And
we have to remember that. She said on the live stream, she was just like, hey, it's a part of a series.
Even if she misspoke
the first movie or something. Yeah.
Even if she misspoke and said something that was from an old talking point because she was nervous or something, they brought her in and brought her there a year after Solo came out and did what it did. you don't do that if you think you're done with that character. So I think, we're going to see more of Enfys Nest, but also, it's Make Solo 2 happen for a reason. And while I love maybe seeing Maul again, maybe more Kira, Emilia Clarke's done with Game of Thrones. I'm not sure what else she's got going on right now. But, Enfys Nest, I'm down for more of that. Alden Ehrenreich absolutely crushed it as Han Solo, in my opinion. And the odds, never tell me the odds, talk about that. The odds were stacked against this kid because you are filling the shoes of the most beloved, say what you want about, Mark Hamill and Carrie Fisher, the most beloved Star Wars actor, probably arguably ever, in Harrison Ford, in one of the most iconic characters ever. And he did a fantastic job. Like, I felt when I watched Solo, I am seeing a young Han Solo. I'm not seeing some kid playing like when I see the old Indiana Jones prequel stuff with Sean Patrick Flannery, I'm not seeing Indiana Jones there. But I'm seeing Han Solo when I see this kid play Han Solo. You got Chewbacca, Jonas Sotomo. He's a young guy. He has taken fans by storm. Like, fans have embraced him being Chewbacca. And now we have the passing of Peter Mayhew, and we know how much Peter taught him and showed him the ways. Where else can you get Chewbacca? In a follow-up to Solo. There's so many things that make so much sense for this to happen that I would be shocked if it doesn't, I'll be honest with you. Are you telling me that they're developing a sequel to Willow for the Disney Plus streaming service, which made like $4 at the box office, but they're not going to make a follow-up to Solo, which is growing in popularity, and you have a sequel pretty much set to take off from in these different areas with these different characters? It just makes so much sense to me. And aside from us like hawking these t-shirts and saying the hashtag and stuff like that, it really means something to me to follow this up because it just makes so much sense. And every time I watch this damn movie, I get such a smile on my face and I feel like a kid. And I think that gets a little lost on us with Star Wars, with the toxicity and the TLJ and the Reylo and Benioff and Wise and all this stuff. I put on Solo, all that goes away, and I have a good time. And that Kessel Run scene is maybe one of, if not the best overall shot, sequence, music, everything total package, Chewie in the cockpit smiling, hey buddy, we're in this together, I've ever seen in Star Wars. Hashtag Make Solo 2 happen.
I just remember when I chose that as my moment in the Kessel Run, you were like, no, that's my moment.
I know. And that's like one of those moments that they've talked about in Star Wars forever. Like, we just did the thing on Patreon about what do you think the Clone Wars were before we saw in the prequels. What did we think the Kessel Run was going to be? And that, whatever it wound up being, I couldn't imagine it being anything else. That whole sequence was unbelievable.
Yeah, I've never smiled more in any Star Wars movie, guys. Any Star Wars movie than during that scene. That scene, I had the biggest smile. I still have the biggest smile every time I watch it, more than anything else. I'm talking any other movie. This is the one that I smiled the most in.
I agree. I agree.
The point where she like pulls back and she's like, "Go ahead, Chewie, get in."
Yeah.
It's like, yes, here's the moment. And then they give you the little moment where she's like, "Oh, I'll take the seat," and you're like, "What?" What?
Yeah.
And Chewie has this like kind of like, okay.
Yeah. But then he starts flipping those switches.
Like, okay, I'll just be back here.
Yeah. Yeah. And the teamwork that they do to pull that off. He's like, you do that, you ding that TIE fighter into the side of the wall. Like, that whole sequence. Like, if someone said, show me 5 minutes on why I should like Star Wars, I may pick that scene.
That was my scene.
Yeah. And
remember the Game of Thrones, or not Game of Thrones, Dave and Buster's ad where they're like,
yes, yeah, you pointed that out. You're like, it looks like a Dave and Buster's ad. Yeah. It's funny. This is the first Star Wars movie that didn't have Jedi, and they pulled it off, and I loved it. So, I
just loved all the moments between Han and Chewie. They're just so perfect that why wouldn't you want more of that? Like, it's like the epitome of like Star Wars buddy cop. Like, I just want it. I want it so forever.
So that's one of my thing here. And like, I know I'm not here to talk down on the Obi-Wan story or anything like that. But one of those things that always kind of drives me nuts is like when the fandom says, give us what we want. We want this story, which is like very secluded sand planet, locked away. There's only so much that could be told, and like maybe there's a good story in there that you could squeeze out and figure out a way to do it. But you know what I don't want? swashbuckling adventures with an open decade of Han and
Of two
Chewie
best
going on
friends, yeah.
adventures, fighting off Boba Fett and Maul and the crime syndicate,
Working
and
for
Jabba the
Jabba.
Hutt.
Yeah.
All that stuff.
Salacious
That's
Crumb.
not interesting to you?
All the times
That's
Han
not
lied
an open
his
doorway to
yeah.
some great Star Wars stories. Like, what? That just blows my mind. Like, I'm like, everything, this movie was only the beginning. This is how they met, which I know you're saying, I don't really care how they met. They've just been best friends. But think about it this way, is you're setting up a long form adventure with two of the best pals in the galaxy. And this movie was, they just had to show you how they met for the first episode, for the first movie.
Right.
That this is how they met from this point on. I mean, like, look at any movie that's like that, like Lethal Weapon or something. I don't know why that popped in, but like they meet in like in the first movie. And then from then it's just like this great friendship journey along the way. And I just think that that area is so ripe. Like, to me, I think there's one solid absolute way to do the Solo 2, and that's just show us who the villain is. And it can be either Boba Fett or Jabba the Hutt, and they can really win back those fans.
Yeah.
If there really are fans that are like, I don't really care for Solo, then you're like, yeah, but Solo 2 is going to have Boba Fett as the villain. And they're like, well, I might check that one out, you know?
Yeah, I'm in.
Overruled by Jabba the Hutt, you know what I mean? And I know they set up for Darth Maul, but I mean, I think that can still be in the game. It could be Darth Maul and Jabba the Hutt having a conversation together. Who doesn't want that?
I know.
Who doesn't want to see a deal being made between Jabba the Hutt pulling what strings he has and Darth Maul pulling what strings he has? That is intense.
And how about the idea of seeing an Alden Ehrenreich Han Solo, that cocky swagger that he showed? You already got the pilot. And doing that by selling Jabba the Hutt for the first time on doing a job?
Yeah.
I want to see
This
that
guy.
scene. I want to see that scene. And then it's a little Salacious Crumb in there. And then the Jabba's palace. And you get that fan service. Because who doesn't like that sequence from Return of the Jedi? They already sold the
Gamorrean guards.
The $5 billion sail barge toy that they sold. You can sell a bunch more of those if you bring that back in a series. I mean,
You could bring in Vader too.
If you wanted to, you could bring even Chibi Babes and Vader. It's somewhere in this.
There's like 100 of those sail barges that they didn't sell, so they have like a Solo repackaging.
They repackaged it for Solo too.
Yeah. Oh, that'd be great.
There's just so many moments in the movie that you're like, this is Han Solo. And I just can't believe anyone would look at this movie and say, I don't want this. You don't want to have fun? I don't.
I know.
People hate fun,
No.
apparently.
That's
We
just
don't
it, Lacey.
like
Is
fun.
like, I think when people watch the original trilogy, they're like, oh, I wonder what the Kessel Run was. That's an open door. And now that they've done it, they feel like that's a closed door. To me, when I watch that movie, I feel like it's like, okay, we answered this question, but here's an open door. Here's an open door.
They could
here's
literally
an open
go
door.
anywhere.
Here's an
Yeah.
open door. Yeah, I mean, that movie sets up so many things. Like, even if it's not about Han and Chewie, it could be about Kira. It could be about Lando. You know,
Well, they
it's
could
just
do
like
they could do an episode on Kira and say, here's an offshoot. We're gonna check in and see what she's up to. Season 2 starts off with, we're being introduced to Boba Fett. There's
You can
a
go to
lot they can
Maz's
do.
castle.
Yes, they could show Han meeting Maz. They can show so many things. That's why I honestly, even though it hasn't really been talked about much, and I haven't heard anything about it, in any kind of leaks or sources or anything like that, it just makes so much damn sense, doesn't it? Really, to do this,
Okay.
especially in a series.
do this. Think about a situation where they go, oh man, that Clone Wars movie really didn't go over well. Better pump the brakes on that. Better not make it a television series.
Right, and they do 8 seasons of
And
that.
it's like, remember that character that nobody liked, Ahsoka? Yeah, they're never going to like her.
Right.
They're never going
Right.
to come around
Right.
on that character.
Right.
What
Yeah.
if we did a long form story with that character at the heart and the core of it? There's no way we'll ever revitalize the hatred against that character.
Yeah. Yeah.
What? Yeah, no. You do long form Solo with these characters who are big, but not big enough that they're like not in the league of doing a Disney Plus streaming service. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Especially when you're doing the Marvel stuff and you're bringing in all those A-list actors to do their shows and stuff.
Right.
So I see this as perfect planning if they did want to go with the long form, like, hey, we're doing a Solo series and it's going to have a bunch of stories and people will watch that. They'll learn that. They'll love the characters even more. They'll go back, they'll watch the movie and they'll be like, oh my gosh, this is my favorite era in Star Wars. You know, you're going to get that if you do a
Right.
live action Solo.
And, we say make Solo 2 happen because it's just a succinct thing. Like this.
Yeah. Hashtag make Disney Plus Solo
Yeah,
series.
To me, I think in our discussion, we're kind of finding here that, and we've said this for a while, it probably does make more sense to do it as a series because you have so many characters you can tell different stories of and continue different stretches of. So, like, imagine just seeing, like, the adventures of Han Solo in the streaming service. Like, yes, I'm clicking on that and I'm watching all of that and all these characters and all that stuff. And, Solo was marketed like crap, and just as recently, our friend Noah Outlaw, he just started up his new show. He was talking about how do you start marketing a movie 3 months before the movie comes out? Like they made such a mistake by not introducing it before TLJ or putting a trailer attached to TLJ, and they started with the Super Bowl, and then all of a sudden 3 months later, here's the movie. So many people didn't know, even friends of mine who like Star Wars didn't even know the movie was coming out. It just got treated so poorly, and we've gone through all the stories and why and the Bob Iger and the politics and all that stuff. So we don't need to.
I
get
don't
back
remember
into
any
that.
of this.
Yeah.
Refresh me.
Yeah, and then add on top of it, it not doing that well in the box office, and that's fine. And the budget issues with the directors, and that's why they went over budget. So you have all that stuff. But then, we're looking back on it now, and I feel like it's aging so much better because we're moving further and further away from all that stuff, and we're just kind of remembering what it is.
Imagine if it came out that December instead, though. Like,
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Man, I would
we
have.
talked about this
feel
once
like it would
before.
have. I know. I feel like it would have done really well.
Yeah, I agree.
We
100%.
actually are past the point. We're closer to the Rise of Skywalker than we are to Solo. It was only a month ago that we passed that mark. It's now further away.
Who doesn't
than
love
the-
Han
than Episode
Solo?
9.
Like, even my parents that aren't big Star Wars fans love Han Solo and Chewie.
Yeah.
They find them hilarious. Like, anybody's gonna love a buddy trip show.
And can we haven't even talked about one of the biggest parts of all this. Young Han with his Falcon.
Yeah. How did it get to the way it's gonna end up being?
Like, let's see him make it more of his own. And there's just so much, like, him and Chewie just running through the Falcon and doing stuff, and like there's so much there that you can already see happening. I honestly hate to say this because it's not one of those things like we're creating a petition and you better make this happen because that's lunacy. But I'll be really disappointed and upset if they don't continue this at all. Like, I think talk about hashtag missed opportunities. I think this would be one of them.
It's funny in canon, they've actually set up that Han is purposefully trying to dirty up who could live in this clean environment.
In one of the recent comics?
No, and in a book. I can't remember if it's if it's Last Shot or if it's the second Aftermath book.
Life
But
Debt?
one of them is especially with Chewie always picking up after himself.
Yeah, I love how Chewie's the clean one.
Chewie's the clean one. Yeah, I know.
See Chewie walk
That's
around with
interesting.
Windex, just like, hey, I got it.
Yeah.
I just want to see Han
he is
lying
the one that's
himself.
always doing the work on the Falcon and stuff.
Yeah.
That is true. He is always doing the work. I just want to see Han lying out of situations, making
Yeah.
up stuff.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
my favorite thing that he did in the movie. Was just we got guys on the ship over here and they're going to come get you. And then the ship takes off and he's like, never mind.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what else is weird too is I think that we're always constantly talking about new eras, right? What new could they do? And I think Han just traveling around, kicking it, doing whatever, could open up new worlds, new characters, new beliefs, new organizations, new types of aliens. It just there's so much there that just like he could go somewhere and resolve that 3-episode arc and then move on to the next thing. Like, glad I got out of that. And everybody's gonna be like, dude, I loved that 3-episode arc. Like, give me more about those characters. And I understand they could probably do that stuff for Cassian Andor too. He's got to be traveling all over the galaxy to be making deals and stuff. But something about Han Solo, like, would you guys, not you particularly, but listeners, like, would you rather have Cassian Andor be that person, or would you rather have Han Solo? I don't know if this is like a knock on that's what I'm saying too, is I think people are supportive of the Cassian Andor show. That's going to be really cool, but it does kind of surprise me that they're not going for the Han Solo thing. You know, it seems like the more obvious pick.
What would you do if the series they're developing for Disney Plus isn't Kenobi, it's Han Solo?
Oh, I'd be thrilled.
Me too.
Yeah. I mean, I want the Kenobi series because I want my report to wind up being correct. So selfishly, I want that. But I also want the Kenobi series, to be honest with you. I think Ewan McGregor deserves it and would do a great job.
See, I'm the opposite, John. I do kind of regretfully want your report to be correct too, but also I'm going to be like, I was right. The Kenobi series doesn't make any sense. Yeah.
So I don't know. Let's I guess give our final thoughts on why people right now should use the hashtag Make Solo 2 happen on their social media accounts. Your final takes on why we should see more of this. Final words.
James.
Final words. In my opinion, I don't think when it comes to this stuff that it hurts if we got it, because they're doing a lot of Star Wars. So I don't necessarily think that because they're doing Solo, you don't get that other thing you want. Even though we were just kind of talking about the Obi-Wan thing, but I think the Obi-Wan thing could still happen, you know? Regardless, I think the biggest reason to support Solo is that knowing that there is a large community of people that really did like this. So why not? Like, be like, you know what? Let them make the show. Let them make the movie. I'll probably go see it anyway. I may not love it, but I know that a lot of people do really love it. And so why not? That would, I don't mean, for all the people that aren't like super down on Solo, let's make Solo 2 happen anyway.
Nice. Lacey, what do you got?
Excellent. I want Solo 2 series or movie to happen because Han Solo and Chewie are a prime example of what Star Wars is all about. And it's the first movie that I've gotten behind that doesn't involve Jedi, and I'm okay with it. Because I know I've said on past shows that I'm like, oh, well, Jedi are like Star Wars. Like, this is Star Wars. Getting on a ship and going anywhere you want in the galaxy, that's Star Wars. And I think that Solo does that very well.
Nice. Yeah, guys. I mean, it's like we said, it's not one of those things where we're saying, you better make this happen or we'll revolt. That's not what this is all about. This is about a true love for a movie and seeing opportunities there. And as James put it, it doesn't hurt to make that happen, to create this show, to create this product. And from my perspective, if you're starting new movies and new direction in Star Wars with new characters and new stuff like that, you still want some of that connectivity to what made Star Wars what it is. And Han Solo is just that. So if we're going to the Old Republic, or we're going wherever Rian Johnson takes us, or whatever happens in the movies, you take to the streaming series when you want to get that dose of that nostalgia and that stuff. And what better way to do that than with a Kenobi series using an old Jedi? But then if you don't want the Jedi stuff, like Lacey said, you get Han Solo and Chewie and all those people. So it just makes so much sense to me. And as I said, this movie meant a lot to me. I had so much fun. Every time I watch it, I feel like it gets better and I enjoy it more and more. And I just have a good, fun time. And honestly, it's one of the first Star Wars movies I could think of that can't wait for my son to be old enough to watch and enjoy, because I think he'll get such a kick out of it and want to go on his own adventure in a Falcon somewhere, you know? So if you guys love Solo and you'd like to see a follow-up to Solo happen, whether it's a movie or, as we're kind of figuring out here, maybe a series is the way to go, fire off that hashtag to your accounts, whether it's Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, wherever you are. Hashtag make Solo 2 happen. We're going to find that tweet. We're going to retweet it. Give it all the attention that you've put out for us here on this movement. So thanks for joining us with that. And again, shoot off photos with you wearing our shirts. A lot of you have bought these shirts, stickers, mugs, whatever. And even if you just have a Han Solo figure or a Chewie figure or anything, whatever you got tied to these characters, shoot off a photo. We'll retweet that too. But just make sure you use the hashtag make Solo 2 happen. And we won't be mad if you take it upon yourself. We're not telling you to do it. If you want to tag a John Kasdan, a Ron Howard, a Jonas Sotomo,
A Star Wars.
a Star Wars. We can't tell you what to do. So if you do it, you just kind of do it, right? But make sure you use that hashtag and we'll find you and we'll retweet it. So thank you guys so much. We hope you enjoyed this conversation. And let's make Solo 2 happen, guys. So
or don't even go for those guys. Go for the podcasters, the other community, the other people you listen to.
Or Bob Iger.
All those other peoples. Or Bob Iger.
Bob Iger.
He's got a Twitter.
Tag Bob Iger.
I keep referencing his photo from Galaxy's Edge, guys, where he's like doing this like sorority girl like. Anyway.
All right, guys. So
it's just the morning now, but I think I've got a really good feeling about this.
Nice.
Well done,
James.
John's sad he didn't get to say that.
No, I like that. Well placed, James. Well done. Did you have that in your pocket the whole time? Was that in your DL44 holster the whole time?
It was about a 3-minute pocket right there.
There you go. All right. All right. So that's it, guys. So we hope you enjoyed that discussion. But now we have one more thing to do, and that is all about the good times and the laughter. So let's keep those good vibes going by sending it over to Lacey Gillerin for hashtag Resistance Transmissions. Let's hear from these guys, Lacey.
All right, guys, it's time for Resistance Transmissions. So, the deal is, every week, John puts up a crazy, wacky situation, and then you guys give your answers. And then I read them live on the show. So I've never read them. I don't know what's going on. I don't even know the situation. So let's see. Okay. So, porgs are real. Oh, word? They are actors. And this guy just found out that I'm assuming it's a picture of a porg?
The guy with the thing on his head?
Oh, the wires. So they released
wires.
a photo this past week of a porg from The Last Jedi with like wires on its head, and it's kind of like pulling apart the Millennium Falcon. Okay, so they are actors, and this guy just found out that they are not casting porgs in The Rise of Skywalker. What does he do to make ends meet until he can find his next acting gig? Oh, no.
Poor Gary.
Gary.
John, your Twitter skills are ridiculous.
Next is... Okay, so first up is
that a good ridiculous or bad
Jewbacchus
ridiculous?
at
Good ridiculous.
Jewbacchus. And he says, Gary makes quilted porg mittens from Chewie's hair on Petsy, the porg version of Etsy. In a galaxy far, far away. Hashtag make Solo 2 happen. Nicely done. Next is
That's funny. I was talking about Etsy earlier today. We were talking about those Harry Potter like things that people make, and I was like, oh, they always use like the Deathly Hollow logo or like Always or something like that. I was like, this ain't my first time on Etsy. I've been on there.
Etsy. Next is JSeed47 at JSeed47, and he wrote, I know one, and he put that in caps, way to make ends meet. And he put meat as in like...
A-T.
Yeah, eating. And then he shared a gif of the roasted pork Chewie cooked.
Oh, dude, J Seed, you are a bad seed, dude. Man.
Why would you do that? Why you do this?
Wow.
Okay,
I mean, that's a good pun, I guess, right?
No, I refuse.
All right.
Next is Villain at Scum and Villainy, and they wrote, he flies south for the winter, obviously.
Oh, okay. Little realistic bird joke. There we go.
Next is our buddy Scotty J-Ro at the Scott J-Ro. Hi, Scott. It's been a while.
He hasn't punched it in a while.
Whoa.
I guess we have to talk to him on the rundown.
He becomes a porg star, and then he included a pair of panties with a porg's face on it.
Oh, Scotty,
Scott,
I
we gotta
don't-
have a convo.
Yeah, I don't even want to know whether you own a pair of those or not.
Okay, next is Len Brown at
Professional porg
R2_Len. This is the week of Len. Hi,
The
Len.
week of Len has arrived.
He says he works at Grief Counseling Center for Porgs that had family members eaten by Wookiees.
That's a pretty good gig, I think.
What is
Yeah.
going on? Okay,
Yeah.
next is Grand
Solid job.
Next is Grand Admiral Thrawn at M1T Thrawn URU0. I do like an eye test and make sure I
Admiral,
can
how
see
about just Admiral? Does he not like being called Nathan either way? Nathan, how are you, buddy?
it. Well, you just ruined that.
Yeah.
Hi, Thrawn. He says, obviously, he's off destroying Snoke's browser history by nesting in
There
the
it is.
hardware.
That browser history joke has gotten so many legs thanks to Genghis Dingus, the second Hall of Famer. in the
Isn't it
history of
Genghis
this-
Dingus?
I said Genghis Dingus.
Oh. Next
You know,
is
his name is trying to do like the full name of Thrawn, like
Right.
Mithranurioto
Yeah.
or something.
Right.
Yeah.
His whole, full deal.
cool. Next is Will Carlton at
Lacey's
Will
not
Carlton
interested.
6. He wrote, he brings balance to the Force before the events of the Rise of Skywalker, rendering the movie pointless and completing his revenge.
So that's like a.
That's a Lacey answer. That's what
like
I would do.
Is that like a time travel, like Back to the Future? If I stop this from happening, then there you go. Well done, Will
He completes his revenge. I love that he gave the Porg such a mastermind plan that's like, I will seek.
So
Well, it's
Will
Darth
Carton.
Porg.
Will Carton.
Darth Porgus.
I'm sorry. Will
Carlton.
Carlton 6 needs to go back in time and get his handle. By the way,
He does, because there are 5 people before you.
Yeah,
I was
what's
going
the
to say
deal?
6, but you are the 6th. Okay, next is Mello Runs in Jedi Robes at a Gray Jedi, one of our generals on Patreon.
I had
Hey.
pizza
Hi,
with that guy.
Mello. We did have pizza. He says, spokesman for KFP, aka Kentucky Fried Porg.
What are you doing, Mello?
What's happening? All right. And last but not least is Rogue Squad 2 at Rogue_Squad 2. And they wrote, Porgy gets a few commercial gigs, but has to supplement income with odd children's birthdays. He gets a call from his agent for an off-Broadway musical of The Last Jedi that gets so reviews. Hanging with pigeons on the street one day, he looks up to see a sign, Sesame Street. He finds hope.
Wow, that is a thought out character arc for a porn.
That is so thorough.
That is incredible. You may have to read that again.
I think my favorite part is that he says it gets so reviews.
Well, of course. Yes. Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
It's like an entire novel. He's like
I know.
there and flock
Hold on.
again.
Okay.
A Porg story.
So,
We gotta get the audiobook.
Sorry, Rogue
Yeah.
Squad 2. Let me get it together. He says Porgy gets a few commercial gigs, but has to supplement income with odd children's birthdays.
She's not going to get through it.
No.
Okay, I got
Should
it.
I read this?
I got it. Okay.
She's got it.
Porgy gets a few commercial gigs, but has to supplement income with odd children's birthdays. He gets a call from an agent for an off-Broadway musical of The Last Jedi, which gets so reviews. Hanging with pigeons on the street one day, he looks up to see a sign, Sesame Street, and he finds hope.
That is unbelievable. If someone out there
I think this is Hall of Fame for me, guys. This is so well done.
are we putting this in the Hall of Fame?
Odd
It's because
children's
there's like
birthday
3
party.
sections to the story.
You know
Like
what?
it's like 3 answers in one, but it
All right,
really
so-
is about
So we have to
like the fall and rise of Porg.
we have
Of
to
Gary the Porg.
hold on. We have to put
Yeah.
we have to put this to a vote then. So Lacey wants this to be in the Hall of Fame. James, is this a Hall of Fame resistance transmission?
Yeah, I think so.
Then
Come
I don't
on.
need to vote. So it's in the Hall of
Odd
Fame.
children's parties. Children's birthday party.
But I will say I agree. I will put
Oh,
this. I
gosh.
will agree to put this in the Hall of Fame. So this is our third Resistance Transmission Hall of Fame entry by Rogue Squad 2. And if anyone out there is an artist who wants to make a little mini comic of this little story,
Please.
we will gladly put this on a shirt or do something and make this a nice little story for Porgy over here. So,
Or give you a shirt. We'll give you a shirt.
yeah,
if you
I
do
think
it.
that was well done.
Odd
done.
children's birthday. All right. If you want to be
So reviews.
So.
if you want to be on the show, make sure to follow us on Twitter at RBATSWNN. And John puts up crazy scenarios like Gary the Porg finding work. And you write your answers, and then I read them live like this Odd Children's Birthdays. John, back to you.
All right, guys, thank you so much. Again, this is Make Solo 2 Happen Day. So make sure you guys are, after you're done with the episode, taking it to your social media accounts. Again, use that hashtag, Make Solo 2 Happen. We will find it. We will retweet it. I sound like Liam Neeson right now. And post photos of your swag. So Make Solo 2 Happen, or any just Han Solo, Chewie stuff, Lando stuff, whatever you got. Let's make Solo 2 happen together. And we appreciate you guys helping us out there. Make sure you guys are subscribed to us on iTunes, SoundCloud, Spotify, and YouTube. Spread the word of our show with your friends. Share an episode. Copy a link. Send it to a friend. Have them join the Resistance. And speaking of joining the Resistance, I do have to say a big thank you to our Patreon generals. We have Carmelo, Brian Shalito, Don Boring, Aaron Quinton, Andrew Staley, and Val Trichkoff. We salute you, generals. Thank you for all of your support, and thank you to all of our patrons on our Patreon page. You help us do what we do here, which is spend a lot of time working on this show, podcasting, doing videos. We have a lot more coming this year and what we have planned, from attending events, going places. We may have some stuff to announce in the coming months about that, but it's all thanks to you guys. So your support is greatly appreciated, and we like to reward that support by giving you guys a content-loaded Patreon page. This isn't just a throw us your money to support us type of thing. We're posting every day new videos. James just started this thing called This Day in Star Wars, where he goes through the history of Star Wars every day. Lacey's going to be doing more unboxing videos. I got my weekly rumor review, which is going to be heating up more as more rumors come out about the Rise of Skywalker and the upcoming series and all that kind of stuff, and maybe some other little scoop nuggets I can give just to you guys. And you guys can also help influence the show. If you're tier 2 and above, you can submit topics like you just saw earlier in the episode for Will of the Force, and discussions and other stuff like that. So thank you all for your support. Head over to patreon.com/resistance broadcast. You can start your support at just $2 a month. And we have tiers from 1 through tier 5. So check it out. And if you like it, come join the Resistance. But also, as always, we're always going to be here for you guys every Monday and Thursday, free as anything in the world with our podcast episodes. So thank you for being a part of our Resistance. We really appreciate that very much. And of course, guys, you know where to go for the news. StarWarsNewsNet.com. That's our website for all of your latest news, reviews, editorials, information, and more. Every day, hop over there as you're having your breakfast and get your fill of Star Wars news. And you can find me writing over there. And also, you can find me on Twitter at Johnny Hoey. And you can find James Bainey where?
At Myra Trunks on Twitter. Make Solo 2 happen. Hashtag.
There it is. Lacey.
Yes.
Hashtag. Where can they find you?
People can find me on Twitter at Lacey Gillerin, and supplementing my income with Odd Children's birthday parties.
There you go. So Lacey will
Makes
be
sense.
doing birthday parties. She does balloon animals. It's a great thing.
Make me a bicycle.
Make me a bicycle, clown. Thank you guys.
Who's the karate guy from Parks and Rec? Johnny Karate.
Johnny Karate.
That sounds good.
Yeah.
Guys, thank you so much for listening, watching, being a part of the show. Hashtag Make Solo 2 happen. Let's make it happen, guys. And until then, enjoy your weekends, and we'll see you on Monday morning with another episode right here on the Resistance broadcast. See you around, kids.
Hawaii.